Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Cinema, the podcast mini-series where I discuss films that have been released in UK theatres. In this episode, I'll be discussing Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. In this sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, 6 years have passed. Ralph and Vanellope spend every day together, but Vanellope is tired of her life being repetitive and unchallenging, so Ralph builds a new bonus track in Vanellope's video game Sugar Rush. This excites Vanellope, who jumps at the chance to drive on it, but her eagerness to take over the wheel results in the game's player fighting for control, and the machine's steering wheel snaps off. The arcade manager sees how expensive a new wheel would be, so he decides to shut down Sugar Rush, which means that the game's residents have to evacuate and find homes in other video games. Even though she's been complaining about the repetitiveness of her life, Vanellope wishes that she could go back to Sugar Rush. So Ralph and Vanellope travel to the internet to get hold of a new steering wheel for Sugar Rush. However, after misunderstanding how eBay works, Ralph and Vanellope end up bidding really high on an auctioned Sugar Rush wheel, so they have to make enough money to afford the wheel before it becomes unavailable to them. They try a variety of money-making schemes, but what seems to work is turning Ralph into an internet video star. While on the internet though, Vanellope falls in love with a racing game called Slaughter Race and considers making it her new home. I already had cautious feelings about what this film was going to be like, and I'm afraid that a lot of my fears came true. Most of this film is an advertisement parade. It's nowhere near as dominant as the Emoji Movie, of course, as there's still original websites being used. But when the film draws attention to a logo or brand, it's quite distracting. Especially with a scene that's dedicated entirely to showing off everything Disney owns, reminding us how much of a commercial giant that the company has become. Now, I could shake off all the blatant corporate pandering and self-advertising if there was a good story being told, but the narrative is flimsy and uneven. There's not much of a natural progression, just lots of location hopping. The movie wants to be about the friendship between Vanellope and Ralph, but it's also eager to explore the world of the internet. These two intentions never blended organically for me. The story's focus bounces randomly between the friendship and the world building, neither getting the attention that they need, so the narrative flow is all too wobbly. For example, when we come to the video hosting part of the world, which is a website called BuzzTube, we learn that video makers make money through love hearts, which is the equivalent of likes, but the film never explains how that works. I mean, there's a reason why I don't get any revenue from people simply clicking like on my videos. Why would YouTube pay me for that? What would they get out of it? Now yes, I like that the film teaches that you shouldn't put all your self-security into internet fame by showing Ralph disappointed to see the harsh comments on his videos after getting overconfidence from success. That's a good sentiment and all. But this is also a film that glorifies and celebrates the perks of selling out as a YouTuber. How you can make quick bucks by humiliating yourself or jumping on bandwagons. That's not a good lesson for impressionable kids. Why not teach children about creative video making or why YouTube shouldn't be all about the money? I also don't like how Ralph is told that you shouldn't read comments. That's basically enabling toxic interactions with video creators. Why is it Ralph's responsibility to turn the other cheek to non-constructive negative comments? Why can't these people learn to be decent civil human beings? So many missed opportunities. Then we have the friendship plotline, which tackles Ralph's insecurities as Vanellope's friend. But while I really appreciate that the film wants to teach about toxic friendship to kids, I didn't like the execution of this lesson. In order to teach it, they had to intensify Ralph's flaws, which made him very difficult to spend time with, because his possessiveness of Vanellope has been over-exaggerated. I also can't forgive Ralph for what he ends up doing too. Yes, people make mistakes, but what Ralph does is more than a bad hiccup, it's downright terrorism, and I'm shocked that Vanellope ends up staying his friend. I'm all for having a character losing their ways to show that anyone can go down the wrong path, but this example was too far. If a friend did this to me, I'd immediately cut them from my life. They've proven themselves to be dangerous company. Yes, Ralph does good things in the movie too, but well-meaning deeds aren't currency for cancelling out awful crimes. Not only that, as the film's attention span is so frantic, it tends to skim over things regarding the friendship. Like, there's a part where Vanellope is contemplating Ralph's awful actions, but that scene gets cut short and abruptly summed up as, it's complicated, because the movie certainly wants to be about a physical threat in the internet world. In addition, the way the movie gets across its toxic friendship lesson is way too heavy-handed. It keeps hammering it into the audience, afraid that we are too stupid to let it all sink in. Even a metaphor for Ralph's insecurities becomes excessively literal and over the top. Give young viewers a chance to read your lesson through subtlety. You don't have to be so blatant. Respect their intelligence. I also don't like how the film is only concerned about Ralph's behaviour, like he's the only one being a problem, when really, Vanellope isn't completely innocent. Not just because she says some pretty harsh things to Ralph, but she's also acting very selfish. Her main concern is about making herself happy, which is a human instinct, but she never seems that concerned about the rest of the residents of her video game, and isn't she supposed to be the princess of Sugar Rush's world? Shouldn't she be fighting to get the game back for her people too, not just herself? Even if she's technically no longer a princess there, you'd expect her to at least be compassionate enough to take Sugar Rush's character's safety and happiness into account. Heck, she was partially responsible for Sugar Rush being shut down. It's her responsibility to fix it. The first film was about the importance of a hero's duty, and this sequel seems to have abandoned that message. I also didn't find this film to be that funny. The thing is, the funniest parts of the film are already in the trailers. Not to mention many of the jokes have already been done in other cartoons about characters entering the internet, like Futurama or Fairly Odd Parents. In other words, the comedy for this film is very uninspired and lackluster. So what did work for me? Well, there's the character of Shank in Slaughter Race. She's pretty awesome. She doesn't really have much to do besides encourage and inspire Vanellope, but she seems like a sound woman. Plus, she's badass as hell once she's behind a wheel. The Disney princesses were fun too. Yes, their scenes are purely pandering fan service to help sell more Disney princess merchandise, and in order for Vanellope to meet them, the narrative has to be awkwardly stretched and pulled. But these princesses are still fun company. They inspire Vanellope to sing a great Alan Menken-penned princess musical number set in Slaughter Race, and the girls later get to save the day in an awesome demonstration of teamwork. The internet world, while mostly being a series of plugins for famous websites, does look very cool as a futuristic city, and the film can be imaginative at realizing a website into something physically tangible, especially with eBay. It's also cute how internet visitors are portrayed as little wee-me style avatars. That was clever. To conclude, I really didn't like Wreck-It Ralph 2. It may not be the worst film of the year, but it's certainly the most disappointing to me. Yes, the animation is energetic and colourful. Sure, you get to see recognizable Disney and video game characters on the big screen, but flashy visuals and fan service don't compensate for the weak, messy story. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. Cheerio, folks!